Microsoft says, do what I say, not what I do. Good spy versus bad spy, NASA edition. And SolarWinds says, SEC, you just didn't hear what I'm saying. These stories and much more on today's episode of MSP Dispatch.
This episode is presented by OIT VoIP. Enhance your client's communication abilities with our VoIP solution, featuring integrated billing, on-demand training, and live US support. Collaborate seamlessly with Microsoft Teams integration and put your entire phone system in your pocket with Mobile X. Improve your offerings and increase profitability with reliable service for 1/10 of the average MSP acquisition cost. To learn more, visit oit.co or dial 844-CALL-OIT.
Good morning and welcome to the January 30th episode of MSP Dispatch, your source for news, community events, and commentary in the MSP channel. I'm Ray Orsini, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Tony Francisco. How you doing, Tony?
I am doing excellent. First off, you and I have finally crossed streams. Hey, everyone, get your mind out of the gutter. But we finally, our schedules are finally interacting. We were missing each other on the episodes. We saw each other, but then we didn't see each other. I was traveling and you were traveling.
There's lots of stuff.
A lot of stuff happening. Everything is going great, though. So much market activity across the board. So many things to talk about. What about you? How are you doing? Oh, by the way, because we haven't seen each other, my Amazon account is literally emailing me daily. Like, are you okay? Seriously, are you okay?
Well, would you like to buy a server? So
when Bezos himself calls me, hey, seriously, Mr. Francisco, are you okay?
Right?
Yeah.
You and Ray kind of the point where, like, I get friends that'll message me and they're like, I haven't seen you online in 36 hours. Are you okay? This is a Raspberry Pi 5, and that case is boring as hell. So I got an LED pimped out case that you're going to love. It is fully, it looks like a little server. It's
that
just
is
LED.
Awesome.
No need for it whatsoever. But you know what I do have need for?
Tell me.
The news. Let's get some news.
Let's do it.
In my first top story, Microsoft shares new guidance in the wake of Midnight Blizzard Cyberattack, written by Jai Vijayan for Dark Reading. In response to the Midnight Blizzard Cyberattack on its email system, Microsoft's January 25th blog provided guidance for organizations on mitigating risks related to its compromised accounts and malicious OAuth apps. The attack, attributed to a Russian intelligence group, targeted senior leadership, emails, and highlighted the need for stricter access controls. Microsoft advises organizations to review privileges and high privilege identities to ensure authorized access and identify potential vulnerabilities. Additionally, they recommend using posture management tools to manage non-human identities and identify unused OAuth applications with excessive privileges. By implementing these measures, organizations can proactively defend against similar attacks and improve their cybersecurity posture in the face of continued nation-state threats. Tony, okay, I will give them credit for, we covered this on Dispatch, right? Phil will figure out where to put it. We covered this last week. And this was blazing fast to send information out. I don't think this is going to be groundbreaking guidance that will surprise anybody on the SIP Discord, for example, right? The CyberJade Improved Partner Portal Discord. But for the millions upon millions of people out there that aren't blessed with awareness of these communities that can help them, I think there's a giant market that should be aware of this that are not. So kudos to Microsoft, I would think. And that's what we find over and over again, right? It's not the super high-tech security things, little base foundational stuff. It's back to my little league baseball coach. It's the foundations that'll get you, to the Super Bowl which would be weird for a baseball coach, but you get it. You know what I mean?
I think there are two things that you mentioned in the article. The first one was OAuth. Compromised OAuth applications terrify me. Something else that you slipped in there just so easily was non-human identities. Now, if we can play this out with everything else that we read here in MSP Dispatch about AI, if there was only a show that talked about AI, do you know of a show that talks about AI? Maybe something that rounds them up?
Somebody to round them up, something like AI Roundup. Check it out on MSP Media Network or your favorite podcatcher.
And AI Roundup is a perfect example of the vastness of AI. But what we're doing right now is we're using AI in a non-human identity fashion in a combination with compromised OAuth applications, which goes back to the final component, the basics, as you referred to. The one thing I like to do when I talk to people about security practices, best practices, dazzle them with the basics. You have a plethora of things to address by just starting off very, very basic level. 2FA, MFA. Companies are now bragging about 3FA. Let that one. And I have 15FA. It's going to be a 15FU pretty soon. I don't know if we have to dolphin that out or we'll use your imagination. But the point I'm trying to make is dazzle your customers, your clients with the basics, because that's where it all starts. As we move through the gradient, non-human identities, compromised OAuth applications, you're now moving up the chart very quickly, and you have an unlimited source of education material right there.
Yeah, one of the most dangerous things you see is that end users can authorize applications out of the box. End users can authorize applications for their organization. Forget themselves. That's bad for their organization. That's one of those things that Steve Gibson talks about, the tyranny of the defaults. Well, that's left default on. Anybody can do it. The better MSPs turn that shit off to make sure that they're pre-approving the apps, and the end users can only use the apps that have been pre-approved. And then you can do something like myapps.microsoft.com, and those things are really cool. But if they're not aware of it because the guidance isn't being put out, or it's not being put out in a way that is easily accessible, is it really there, right? Tree falls in the forest, no one's there to hear it. Did it really fall, or did it make a sound? And it's the same thing here. I feel if Microsoft needs to do a better way of elevating that data at the point in time you're doing it. Don't put it on README docs somewhere in the annals of TechNet or whatever else is there. Put it as you're deploying it. Put it as you're setting it up. These are the best practices. Give me a best practice analyzer while I'm going through the wizard. If you're with me and you want to yell, tell us in the comments below. But Tony, I want to switch to something else. You remember when we were kids and you had the option of being like an astronaut or a spy? I'm just finding out you could have been both.
Yes, in our next story. Looking closer at my first story, no pun intended, from ArsTechnica.com, the NSA finally admits to spying on Americans by purchasing sensitive data. According to documents revealed by U.S. Senator Ron Wyden, the National Security Agency, NSA, has acknowledged purchasing America's web browsing data from commercial data brokers without warrants. Wyden's disclosure comes amid recent FTC actions targeting data brokers profiting from customers' data without adequate safeguards or consent. Additionally, the lack of transparency in government agencies acquiring sensitive information through commercial marketplaces raises concerns about potential foreign government involvement. The NSA acquisitions includes NetFlow data, offering technical insights into internet usage without accessing communication content. Despite legitimate cybersecurity uses, Wyden urges ending warrantless surveillance, stressing ethical and legal concerns, and encouraging compliance with FTC regulations to eliminate unlawfully obtained data. Ray, you are a particularly interesting point on this story. You understand FTC. Do you spy on us? Just tell us. Just get it out right now.
I mean,
see what happened was.
but I have a federally mandated obligation to monitor my users' traffic to ensure quality and customer service and training purposes. No, I don't know, something like that. No, so you know the story of Oprah? Do you know Oprah's, what was supposed to be her birth name?
Do tell.
It was Orpa. It was a transposition of the letters on the birth certificate, and she was named Oprah instead of Orpa. So I look at NASA and I look at the NSA, and I'm thinking, they did NASA, and they were like spying from above, satellites. How are we going to do it below? Let's do NSA. Same damn thing. Does the NSA NASA? No.
You just run out of just.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, and this is how conspiracy theories are born.
You broke my brain right there, thinking, okay, where's this going? He didn't really just do that. Yeah, he did.
Listen, I told you my brain was not braining today, and I could do two things. One, I could admit defeat and try to just trudge along, or two, I could lean wholly into it and just come up with this BS. Back to cocaine. No, that is this season's cocaine. That's what it is. So, and if you don't remember that episode, good luck finding it, Phil. Go point to that episode. So, my thing is this now. Every security organization in the country, I'll put this as everyone on the planet, purchases data. Then let's move on to non-security organizations. Many, many, many corporations purchase data for good uses, not even just for nefarious uses. There's value in all data, and I think that's the gold rush, right? We've seen this. This is what makes LionGuard so powerful. This is what makes Avix so powerful. These are data warehouses, right? So having all that data, getting access to it, whether it's the corporation, whether it's the government, whether it's a security organization, is equally valuable. I don't fault them for that. Yes, I absolutely get the icks of, oh my gosh, the astronauts are spying on me buying my data. I get it, but I'm also the idiot that bought Alexa, right? So, let's recognize the lines where they fall.
Your hypocrisy is boundless. Just
that's what I'm saying. We record how much percentage of our lives, right? If it's not on camera for MMN, it's doing the other stuff you and I do that is, the charitable stuff we do and the stuff we do with CompTIA and the other organizations, not to mention just our personal lives, just sharing on Instagram or Facebook, right? So we put the data out there. Sometimes to get the data collated and to review it, it needs to come from somewhere other than you can't buy that on Amazon.com. Actually, I haven't checked. Let me shut up. But yeah, this is not the thing that makes me mad.
So,
you know what I mean?
Let me before we jump into the next story, I want to tell everyone about my hosted exchange days and the things that I learned, because this was that was the precipice of all the hosted services, the cloud that we're used to today. At that point, I learned that it went to Congress and it was perfectly legal for any email, the contents, recipients, destination, all of the above, to be reviewed, copied, okay, and distributed from any of the points that it relays off of by the owner, which means in that case, I had access to everything. It was completely legal. And it was the most fascinating. Now, that went, of course, to court quite a bit. And I don't know what the end result was, but I do remember that passing at the time when we were subpoenaed. And we said, well, I guess we have to give you everything at this point. And the FTC has tried their best over the last 20 years to really wrap their arms around this and control this. But we should talk about this. I would love to hear everyone else's feedback on this. Are they spying on their customers because they have access to their... Yes, there's a right. You just type us in. There's multiple ways to contact us. But the FTC is one thing. Another one is the SEC. And that's a big one. And Ray, I think your next story talks about just that.
And for my third top story, I'm bringing back the boogeyman. SolarWinds seeks dismissal of Unfounded SEC Cybersecurity suit, written by Skye Whitley for Bloomberg Law. SolarWinds Corp seeks dismissal of a U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) suit alleging fraud and control violations in handling the cyber attack on its Orion platform. We did cover the Orion platform attack in multiple previous episodes. Phil, do it. The company denies wrongdoing and asserts proper pre- and post-breach disclosures. Represented by Latham & Watkins LLP, SolarWinds argues the SEC suit would unfairly broaden disclosure requirements. Additionally, it disputes the SEC's claim that risk disclosures were inadequate and denies leaving out crucial information. Refuting claims against Chief Information Security Officer Tim Brown, SolarWinds argues his involvement is unwarranted, stating that Brown did not knowingly violate disclosure or internal account controls. Furthermore, the motion contests SEC overreach in cybersecurity regulation and asserts that internal cybersecurity controls are distinct from financial accounting controls. Tony, it's a fine line. If we take this back to the insurance stuff, and talking with Dustin Bolander and Reed over at Reed Wellick over at Fifth Wall, they told me these stories of people who would file a claim, and when it got denied under the whatever G&L, they'd reprocess it under cybersecurity or vice versa. And let's be honest, moving the balls in the cups is not anything any business doesn't do across the globe. That's life. We do it with cash. We do it with personnel. We do it with resources. That's the way it works. And a good legal defense is absolutely going to split hairs. Are they splitting the hair enough to protect themselves? Or do you think that SolarWinds is in for a major pow-pow?
Hold on, I'm just it's $120 to file my my new LLC, which I just moved everything over there, which gives me, you cannot pierce the corporate veil for all of the things that I own is now in that LLC, which by the way is a subset daughter company of another LLC and then another LLC and then absolutely correct.
I'm sure they're shelf companies. They're companies that already have been around for 20 years and they have an established
shelf
name.
Companies. You're breaking out shelf company references.
I mean,
wow,
yeah.
Wow, that. That.
I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't share my knowledge of finance.
No. So everyone right now, here's what just happened. I would say 90% of the audience said, "Did he say shell company?" Oh, okay. I said, no. There's a shell company, but then there's a shelf company. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that I'm talking to a black belt in this particular topic, and he's recognizing, hey, what's happening in this article? That's some there. That's exactly what that is. And there's your Dolphins for the day.
I mean, people thought that my title used to be Chief Technology Officer. No, it's Chief Tomfoolery Officer. No, look, and for anybody who wants to talk shelf companies, the TLDR on that is you take a company, instead of closing it down where you're not going to do it, you open companies every year, just like domain squatting. You keep it the records filed. And that's it. So when you're going to establish a new company, you find a name that you like off this list of shelf companies, and suddenly it has a 20-year corporate history or 10-year corporate history. And there's tons of advantages to that that I'm not going to get into because we're not attorneys or CPAs, and I don't want to.
Unreal. So getting back to the article, though, I am interested in this because we're talking SolarWinds. We're talking, this is not a small company. This is a monster. And if they are setting a precedence of or evading accountability, then what do you think is going to happen past that? What do you think? I mean, they're I don't want to say a pillar in our industry, but they're not a small player, and they're definitely in our industry. And if they are setting a precedence of jumping accountability by mixing the cups and the balls, I'm wondering if that's going to affect two things: what everyone else does, which of course is going to impact the insurance, and that is going to affect all of us. Ray, take us home on this. I'm going to get frustrated, and at the same time, I'm also querying how do I move my companies around under your tutelage.
No, sir, you're not going to get frustrated. You are so excited about this that you're having similar symptoms to being frustrated, but you're misidentifying them. Actually, you're very happy and you're welcome. I rest my case, Your Honor. What do you say we get into the notables, man?
Let's get into the notables. Jumping into my notables from bleepingcomputer.com. A new advanced threat actor, Blackwood, deploys sophisticated malware called NSPX30. That's NSPX30 in cyber espionage campaigns. Discovered by ESET researchers in 2020, Blackwood's activities are linked to Chinese state interests. Targeting entities in China, Japan, and the UK, Blackwood employs software update mechanisms like WPS Office to deliver malware. The NSPX30, evolving from the 2005 Project Wood backdoor, features multi-stage architectures and advanced capabilities. Notably, Blackwood hijacks legitimate software update requests to deploy NSPX 30, indicating a skilled malware deployment. In my next notable mention from TechCrunch.com, OpenAI announces model updates and cuts API prices, helping developers and hinting at future consumer choices. GPT 3.5 Turbo, a widely used model, witnesses a 50% drop in input and 25% in output prices, making it more affordable. As users increasingly apply APIs for text-heavy tasks, cost reduction becomes significant. With ongoing model enhancements, OpenAI ensures competitiveness amidst rising alternatives. Moreover, GPT-4 Turbo's new preview model aims to address past laziness issues, promising improved performance. Further updates include new text embedding models and a revamped moderation API version 007 for enhanced content review.
In my first notable mention, Cisco Unified Communications Flaw let attackers execute arbitrary code, written by Guru for Cybersecurity News. A critical flaw in Cisco Unified Communications and Contact Center solutions has raised concerns allowing unauthenticated attackers to execute arbitrary code on affected devices remotely. Known as CVE 2024-20253, it allows attackers to exploit the system through a carefully crafted message to a listening port. The potential outcome is alarming, as attackers could gain the ability to execute commands at will, potentially leading to a complete control over the device. Cisco promptly responded with software updates, but mitigation involves ACLs, or access control lists, on intermediary devices to limit port access. And while certain products remain unaffected, users are encouraged to check Cisco's documents for detailed advice on reducing risk. In my second notable mention, Beeper's push for iMessage on Android is really over. Written by Amrit Khalid for The Verge. In a recent post on X, formerly Twitter, Beeper announced removing its Beeper mini app from Google Play Store and migrating the iMessage bridge to the lab section of its cloud version. Although new users can no longer access Apple's messaging service through Beeper Cloud, existing users may still have access. The company opted not to assist users encountering issues with iMessage Fix, as it focuses on its broader goal of developing a universal chat app beyond iMessage. In our resource of the week, the top 5 RSS readers for keeping up with your news feeds, written by Barbara Krasnoff of The Verge. And our feedback from user Cletus88 says, really wish we could see the forensic evidence that Microsoft has on how they know who exactly attacked them. This is very dangerous to start accusing state actors without being transparent about the data. I don't disagree with you on the transparency part. Unfortunately, it's rare that anybody shares why they know what they know in a reasonable amount of time. Look at the Colonial Pipeline attack. That took a rather long time after the event had occurred for us to start being able to identify with data who was responsible. And additional feedback at UCJNRKLYRJI-ABFA8 QINO92Q, I think you missed a vowel, says, remember when someone hacked Google Germany by simply sending an email with a realistic looking receipt for toilet paper and ended up stealing like $5 million over a year? That is amazing. I do remember that story. Sadly, that's not even unique. Those false invoices that get slipped in there, as long as they look real, it happens more often than it should. But thanks for bringing that up. That was a great throwback. At Silk's comments, at 157 on a previous video, I said, hackers bad, zero question. I don't think you truly think that. Be careful with your words, especially phrased as strongly as that, when you take the role of public informer. I will take this point to agree. I agree with you, Silks. You're 100% right. Hackers are not bad. Doctors are not bad. Coders are not bad. They have the ability to do bad things, and some people use those abilities to profit off the bad things. Being a hacker by itself is not bad, and you're right. While in the technology industry, I'm going to guess that a vast majority of the people that watch this understand the difference between a white hat hacker, a black hat hacker, a gray hat, and whatever other color they are. That word has a different connotation amongst the general public, so I apologize. You are 100% correct. I will amend that to bad hackers are bad, zero question. So we can go with that. And I think we can, hopefully we can agree on that. But thank you for calling that out because we value transparency here.
There are plenty of amazing upcoming events taking place across the community, so let's see what's happening this week. Coming at you for a very loaded Thursday, February the 1st, starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, join Global Thought Leaders for Sonic Wall Channel Forecast 2024. And then at 11 a.m., Pineapple Danger 2024 presented by Threat Locker. And then just a little bit later at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, top 2023 cyber threats to watch out for in 2024, presented by Barracuda MSP. And coming from the MSP Media Network this week, we have tomorrow, Wednesday the 31st at 10 a.m. Eastern, AI Roundup will be back for a new episode, followed shortly on at 1 o'clock p.m. by a MSP Community Live special about the basic requirements to provide service as an MSP. And then on Friday, February 2nd at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, a new episode of 38 at 38 with special guest Chris Kinman of RexMD.
Hi, I'm Aaron, and I'm a jobaholic. We all have something in common. We all have a worst job story. Each episode, I'll welcome one guest to share their most insane worst job story. And in return, I'll share one of mine. Join me the first Friday of every month for new episodes of 38 at 38.
So how'd you like today's show? If you liked it, hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, go ahead and tell the SEC. We don't care. And if you want to hear more, go ahead and subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcatcher. Did you know we also have a Discord where we post stories all week? You can propose your own stories and even vote on which ones we'll cover. As my friend Rich Mankey has been saying since the very first episode, make sure to tell a friend. And also be sure to follow us on social media at MSP Media TV. Have any questions? Email news@mspmedia.tv for answers on the next episode, or leave us a voicemail, 833-MSP Network. All right, Tony. I know you and I are not really good at coloring within the lines.
Coloring within the lines, we talked about 15 FA, cocaine, screw the FTC. And oh, by the way, this is a tech podcast. This is all about our technology industry. So I'm going to have to say that I think you're accurate in that not coloring in the lines statement.
And if anybody needs to find me, my name is Tony Francisco. Thank you for watching the MSP Dispatch. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves and each other.
Yeah, be safe.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.
Microsoft says, do what I say, not what I do. Good spy, bad spy, NASA edition. And SolarWinds says, FCC, SEC, I got that wrong, so I'm going to have to repeat it again. Damn it. All right.
As users increasingly